Celebration greetings to all and sundry, my people of Amazonia, my dear brave warriors of the liberation movement of the people of the southern Cameroons. Accept liberation greetings from me today, Comrade John Akuro. Today is Wednesday, and this day is July 19, 2023. My people of Amazonia, the days are getting hot. I should even say the days are getting hotter on ground zero in Amazonia. From all what we can see today, finally it is dawning to some people, both in La République du Cameroon and in Amazonia, that something is not going on right in that community. I should say very easily and very simply that maybe, finally, some human beings have been touched. This means that those who had closed their eyes to the carnage, to the ongoing genocide in Amazonia, in southern Cameroons, because they thought that it had to do only with half humans or with flies, with objects, have now come to terms that there is really something fundamentally horrible going on in our land. Because finally, from the look of things, human beings have been touched. My dear people of Amazonia, while I'm deeply saddened by the spate of killing in our land, I must confess that for one thing, the people of the southern Cameroons can begin to come to terms with what I've always said on this platform. That in the eyes of the people of La République du Cameroun, we are half humans. We are not people. No, we are not. They don't consider that the same blood that flows in their veins flows in our veins. They don't consider that we deserve life just as much as they do. They don't deserve, or they don't believe. They didn't consider, they never ever conceived in their minds that we should aspire to live in a convenient, free, and a secure environment. Because today, a majority of those who fell at the Nacho Junction in Bamenda concerns citizens of La République, or because a majority are citizens of La République. Now, even the dumb can speak. Even the deaf can hear. Now, even those whom we should say would be a taboo for them to claim they want to take certain actions, they have all a reason. All kinds of, people have come out from all kinds of angles, and we now know that they have eyes, that they could see what was going on, that they had ears, that they could hear the wailing of our people. From Kejomkeku to Anyajwa, from Kumbo to Bamesing, from Bamenda Central to Awin, from Bali to Batibo, from Isu all the way to Badun. My people of Amazonia, today we know that they have not been blind all this time, they have been seeing. That they have not been deaf all this while, they have been hearing. But simply that they have concluded, or they have concluded, that we are half human. And therefore, we deserved to be used as spots. Oh yes, as said here before, over and over, and I'll repeat it, that for the citizens of La République du Cameroun, we are game. Yeah, they are soldiers, they are dogs. They kill us for their sport. Let's begin by sharing this thought by Jean-Paul Sartre, the author of one of the most celebrated existential novels, known as Lemersal. He says to do evil, a human being must first of all believe that what he is doing is good. Again, to do evil, a human being must first and foremost believe that what he is doing is good. My people of Ambazonia, the government of La République du Cameroon and their allies across the world have come to convince themselves that wiping out Ambazonians is a good thing. That is why they could clear Bebe Carol Louis in Boya. It will end up with noise. And we do not hear our Fons or chiefs come out in outrage. That is why they could clear Bebe Brandy Tato in Bamenda. I did not hear our Fons come out, like Towncriers on the streets, screaming and weeping and shouting. No. They burned our queen mother. That's the mother of the Fond of Menjang, alive. The dogs of La République du Cameroon. This one, there's no doubt about it. It's not even just like it were men in military uniform. No. It is a known fact. What happened? The moderator of the Presbyterian Church came out, the Right Reverend Funky Samuel, to justify why the dogs of Mr. Pobia could have or should have attacked a palace, a sacred place, could have attacked a palace, to justify why they could have roasted a queen mother alive. That's a man of God. When I read the Right Reverend Samuel Funky's press release, I said this is not only a disgrace, it is a celebration of evil. That's a celebration of evil. Oh yes. Because when it happened in Babanki, that our mothers were simply, taken to a certain secure environment by the self-defense volunteers to have a conversation with them and to tell them why it was wrong for them to allow themselves to be misled by a greedy woman like Regina Mundi. What happened? Funky came out and used some words that in normal circles, they will call them low frequency, described the dream of the majorities of the people of the southern Cameroons as pipe. Reverend Funky treated us with all kinds of words. But now when a mother was not just arrested, was not just held, was not just tortured, but was burned alive, a queen mother, the Right Reverend Funky came out to play the apologist for the Cameroon army. This is the kind of society in which we live. Because they succeeded in convincing even our own people that we are subhumans and that our deaths should mean nothing. That's what they did. It's painful, but that's a reality. I sat here when I read a passage from Pastor Asobo regarding what happened in Eritrea. I talked about a certain tipping point where it got to a point where the people recognized that they were all going to face collective annihilation, and how they acted. That's what takes me back to this thought, that you become unstoppable once you realize that you deserve better. I am convinced that with what happened in Nacho, none of us, not me, and I'm sure not too many of us will come out here to be excited about the deaths of civilians or the deaths of anyone at all, no matter what. None of us. Because when it happened on that night in Nacho, we all mourned. No one knew where the people who were killed came from. No one knew whether they were La République du Cameroon citizens, or they were Ambazonian citizens. Of course, 2 Ambazonian citizens died among them, but I understand that the other 8 are all citizens of La République du Cameroon. That is why we now hear this. And again, you know, the powers got up from slumber to try and start justifying things because the Guardian Post wrote this. Men in military attire slaughtered 12 persons within 48 hours. Listen, men in military attire slaughtered 12 persons within 48 hours. The Guardian Post was going from the premise that there were 7 people that had died at that spot. I think at the time they were going to press, they had reported 7, or they had confirmed 7 deaths. 7 deaths. And then they added the 7 deaths to the 5 others that were killed in the Awin quarters in Bamenda. So therefore, when the Guardian Post reported this, La République du Cameroon told themselves, no, look, we must try to make a spin. Yeah, we must try to make a spin. Because you see, the catch in this whole thing is the La République du Cameroon government says, oh no, we really have to do something to make it clear that these people were not killed by our people. And they come up with a different kind of thesis. That's why you've heard some conspiracy theory, loitering in the streets, loitering here and there, that, oh, these were Southern Cameroon self-defense volunteers who dressed in La République du Cameroon military attire to go and avenge the deaths or the killings of the 5 young men that happened in Awin quarters, Bamenda. And so therefore they went there to carry out vengeance because they claimed that those La République du Cameroon citizens, mainly Bamelekes who were in that area, are the ones who gave information that led to the killing of those 5 young boys. But let me tell you this, and let us be very clear about it. Let's know this once and for all. La République du Cameroon since 2016, since 2016, but most especially 2017, has been keen on wanting to get the international community to brand us as terrorists. La République du Cameroon has been on that logic for a long time because they have tried on the ground and they have realized that it is impossible for their forces to subdue the well-determined brave hearts, the self-defense volunteers of Ambazonia, because the young boys and girls know they are engaged in a battle of survival, a battle of their lives. And so therefore, La République du Cameroon tells itself the only way they succeed is try to get the world, the international community, to brand Ambazonia as a terrorist movement, to brand the Southern Cameroonians as terrorists, so that they can benefit from the support of the great powers in the world to subdue our dream for a free and prosperous Southern Cameroons. We have seen what they did in the past. They've multiplied efforts to attain this evil objective. We saw them gather children in a school in Bamenda, 82 of them, and march them off into the forest and claimed that this was done by our self-defense volunteers to attract international outrage. It did not work. They moved from there. They went and killed 7 children, 7 school children in a school in Kumba, in military style execution, in commando style execution. It did not strike the court. They were disappointed, but they didn't stop there. They moved on to a Kondo Titi in a school, committed the same heinous act. It still did not attract. They had done that with a warder in Pinyi, Akenji, that they took her, slaughtered her in the most despicable manner on video. It did not succeed. And so therefore, they have gotten to a point where they say, okay, if now we turn our eye on our own citizens, civilians in their land, we can finally tell the world that these people are completely horrible humans. That is why La République carried out this act. And that's why, as soon as the Guardian Post, of course, The Guardian Post story is very significant. It's very important. Very important because this is a news outlet that has generally reported from the positions shared with it by insiders in the military of La République du Cameroon. That sometimes have even committed act and the Guardian Post will hurriedly say Ambazonian forces. But this time, they went straight to the point because that is the information that they got from the inside. Because that's exactly what happened. So the Cameroon government, the Ministry of Defense of Cameroon, embarrassed, frustrated, now to come out with this press release in attempts to cover up, because that's what it is, in attempts to cover up, to cover its tracks. That's why it reads, the Ministry of Defense hereby informs a cruel and barbaric terrorist act was perpetrated on the evening of Sunday, 16 July 2023 at about 7:30 p.m. by a secessionist armed group near a drinking spot at Nacho Junction, Bamenda 2 subdivision, Mezam, Northwest region. Now look at this. You see, they say the act was carried out by who? By a secessionist armed group. This, they have never referred to our self-defense volunteers as secessionist armed group. No, they've generally referred to them as terrorist armed group. Oh yes, as terrorists. But the language is changing, increasingly changing for a reason. Because now they have to try and look for a justification. They want to say a group of about a dozen secessionists, not a group of about a dozen terrorists, like they will say in normal circumstances, deceptively dressed in military gear similar to those of the army and carrying automatic rifles. Now, when they say deceptively dressed in military gear similar to those of the army, wait a minute. Similar? Which other company produces military attire in that area? Which other entity supplies military attire? Only the Republic of Cameroon soldiers have that military attire. Some few that the self-defense volunteers see from them is in the hinterlands. And that sometimes they just get those to mix among them and to be able to face them squarely when they meet. But we're talking here in Bamenda, in urban Bamenda. And it says, gathered a few innocent citizens before firing heavily and indiscriminately at them, leading to the death of a few customers comfortably seated around a table. And it says the preliminary report of this terrorist attack reveals that 10 people were murdered and 2 others were seriously injured. Now look at this. I'm saying this because some will be deceived. To fall to the useless conspiracy theory going around that this act was carried out by our self-defense volunteers in retaliation. These citizens of La République du Cameroon have been in Ambazonia since 2016, when this phase of our liberation movement went up in scale. They have always been there. By the time La République du Cameroon on December 9, 2016, slaughtered Akum Julius and others in Bamenda, they have always been there. They have been there by the time Paul Biya declared war on Southern Cameroonians on the 30th of November 2017. They have been there. They have been there throughout the moment when the military of La République Cameroon have been massacring our people, capturing them in good numbers like they happened by the 30 number, put on the ground, shot them in military-style execution, burnt the remains. These people have been there. Nothing had ever happened to them. These people have always been there. When La République du Cameroon attacked Kejomkeku, attacked the Bambui the first time, killed a lot of people, came into my aid, Mancon, broke houses, burnt houses, beat people, killed some. They have been there. The time that the military of La République du Cameroon went to Bengui Road, in Aziri there, on Bengui Road, burned houses, even burned the house of a pastor, and were about to kill his son when the pastor spoke French. Oh yes, say, oh, il parle même français. When the pastor spoke French. These people have been there. These people have been there throughout the time when they went and killed Bebe Carol Louis. When they killed Bebe Brandy Tato, they have been there. When they even took out Senator Barrister Kemende and slaughtered and dumped him in a pool of his own blood. They were there. Nothing has ever happened to them. So what has changed? What has changed? I like us to be very careful when we're looking at these things. Because like I said earlier, now, even people who had behaved as if nothing was happening in the southern Cameroons, in their so-called claim of a one Cameroon, are up from slumber now because real humans have been touched. This is shameful. This is regrettable. Look at this. Les dignitaires musulmans réagissent. Terrorisme de Bamenda. Aux tueries de Bamenda. Les dignitaires musulmans réagissent. Where have these dignitaires musulmans been all this while? Where have they been? Where have they been? When they have been burning, handicapped people alive in their homes. In Kejonkeku, they burned about 4 in their homes. Where were they? Where were these dignitaires musulmans? My people of Ambazonia, on this platform, I have said it over and over and over, that we are facing collective annihilation. I have said it over and over and over, that La République du Cameroon does not see any one of us, not even you, who comes across as an enabler, not even you who calls yourself Fons, not even you who calls yourself CPDM elite, who are working with them. They don't see you as human. Oh yes, I've said this over and over. Nobody believed me. Some people thought I was going too far. Some people thought I was being hyperbolic. I was exaggerating. But today, it took one incident, one, of La République du Cameroon deciding to turn on its own people in order to project us horribly before the face of the world. Now you can see the outrage. Oh, the outrage is real. Until les dignitaires musulmans who were busy, quiet, preparing for 2025 to fight and take over power in La République du Cameroon and make as if they were not seeing what is happening in Ambazonia. Today, the dignitaires musulmans réagit. And now again, you get this other headline. Nation mourns. Government accuses Amba fighters. Nation mourns. Oh yes. The irony in this whole thing is that just a few days back, 2 or 3 days, just 2 days behind, 5 young men, 5 healthy young men were slaughtered like pigs by the military of Cameroon. That one, they didn't even dispute it, they didn't argue it. On the contrary, their apologists were looking for reasons to say these urchins were Amba fighters. They even went ahead to craft a story and claim that they were kidnappers. Yes, the nation did not mourn. The nation did not mourn because those were pigs. The nation did not mourn because those were roaches, those were cockroaches. The nation did not mourn because those were subhumans. The nation did not mourn because these were not bona fide citizens. The nation did not mourn because these ones deserve no sympathy. They deserve no money. They deserve no attention. The nation did not mourn. This is what it is. It is what it is. I have said here 1 million times that let us put our heads, our hearts, and our hands together and fight like a people who know they are on their own. Because we are on our own. And we have been on our own for a long time, for over 60 years. Oh yes, because La République du Cameroon enjoys the support of all those who continue to benefit from the resources on our land. If we don't rise to the occasion, we will face collective annihilation. From this incident, I'm sure everyone can see now that nobody will be spared. Nobody will be spared. I said here the last time, the way it's happened, you sit and say, oh, it happened but in the other person's backyard. It can't happen in my backyard, so I don't care. No, it happened but to the other people's families now. Those are people's family, because, of course, by the way, there have been answering calls from people who are Amba. And no, but it happened to the other family like that because, wait a minute, those Ambas were hiding in that area. Yeah, they were hiding around there. Yes, so it cannot come to me. No, but it happened to the other people the other way like that. Because, yes, when the military passed around there, they were attacked. That's why it happened there. It cannot happen to me. Sorry. They are coming for all of us. All of us. One after the other. Today, we can all see the difference. I said today we can all see the difference. Let us listen to my friend. Oh yes, let's listen to the spiritual authority. Archbishop Nkea, at least he went out this time. He had gone out with bike riders before. It was not on the occasion of some people being slaughtered or killed. He too did not come out. When our queen mother was burnt alive in her home, he too did not come out. When our 5 young urchins were slaughtered just around that same area, he did not come out. But at least now, real citizens, real human beings were touched. Well, at least let's give him credit for coming out. Let's hear him.
Within these past days, this last week, we lost 6 children in this quarter, and now again we have lost 10 people within this same quarter. And that is why I came out of my house to come here to this place where it happened a couple of hours ago, so that we pay our last respects to the people who are here. It's a very painful moment for all of us, and when the moment is hard and hot like this, we come out to bring consolation to the people. We come out to pray for the dead and to show that good will always triumph over evil. Evil can never defeat good, no matter how long it takes. So human life is sacred. Within these past days, this last week,
As you can see, I cannot agree with Archbishop Nkea more. Evil can never triumph good. Evil will never defeat good. That is why La République du Cameroon can never, will never defeat the Amazonian dream. Nowhere in the world has the oppressor ever held the oppressed captive ad infinitum. It has never happened. When the oppressed people rise, the clock for the oppressor begins to tick out. It will take the time it will take. But evil will never triumph over good. Evil will never defeat good. It will never happen. That's the truth. Because like I say, my dear people of Ambazonia, we have proven to the people of La République du Cameroon that we're a peace-loving people, that we believe so strongly and so much in what the late Martin Luther King Jr. said, that love is better than hatred. Yeah, we believed in it so strongly. That's why for 60 years they took us for a ride. That's why for 60 years they humiliated us. They exploited us. They tortured us. Let someone forget. Southern Cameroonians have been dying in La République du Cameroon dungeons for at least 40 years. I have acquaintances, some of whom never had the good luck to grow up with their fathers in their homes. Because way back in the early 80s, they arrested their fathers, tortured them, and when they managed to escape from detention, they ran into exile and could never get back home until they died in exile. This thing didn't begin today. For decades, we have faced this. Yet we have continued to believe that the people of La République du Cameroon will come to their senses and recognize that love is better than hatred. No, they continued to take our simple conviction in this simple dictum that it makes sense more to forgive and embrace your enemy than go for revenge or vengeance. They took us for fools. And that's why when we decided to rise and say, no, enough is enough, we want to be free, they said, look at the animals that want to be free. Look at the cockroaches and the roaches that want to be free. Look at the subhumans that want to be free. Look at the deputy citizens that want to have rights. And that's why they unleashed the entire armada of the Cameroon military on Ambazonians. Those of us who were taking time to recognize that La République du Cameroon doesn't see us as humans, I'm sure you have your eyes to cry today. I'm very convinced that you have your eyes to cry today. Yeah. Now, when Bishop Kia says again that love is better than hatred and mentions Rwanda, I said, let us listen to him again. Let's go.
I have always said that love is better than hatred. I've always said that life is better than death. I've always said that living and loving one another is better than killing one another. And so I don't want to go into what led to what or what did not lead to what, because no matter what led to what, it is not right to take the lives of other people. All of us standing here, including you, Mr. Journalist, we could have been the ones to die. And the people here were sitting here innocently, who were taken by bullets. I think it is high time that all this should stop. We want this thing to stop. Amen. Let people be able to go along with their normal lives again. And all this hate speech and all this, look at what happened in Rwanda. We don't want it here. All the things that have happened in Burundi, we don't want it here. We want our people to be able to live their normal lives. I have always said that love is better than hatred. I've always said that life is better than...
Now, you see, the Archbishop says one important thing. Forget about his recitation, his recital on love is always better than hatred. He said one very important thing. This thing that happened to these people could happen to you, talking to the reporter, could happen to me. We might have found ourselves here. This is the message I've been struggling to pass to the people of the Southern Cameroons from 2017 to this day. It could have happened to you. It could happen to me. It can happen to you. It can happen to me. It will happen to you and it will happen to me if we don't do the needful. If we don't understand that as a people we are facing collective annihilation. When the Archbishop says we don't know what happened in Rwanda, we don't know what happened in Burundi to happen here. Recall, our brother in the military of La République du Cameroon already made it clear to us the other day that what is happening in Ambazonia has already overcome what was happening in Rwanda. In a way. Why? Because it is genocide in slow motion. Genocide in slow motion is more dangerous than the kind of genocide that happened in Rwanda. Because with this genocide in slow motion, you see the game that the Republic of Cameroon and their international partners are playing with figures. Month after month, they are killing people, tens of people on a daily basis. But they keep telling you about 3,500 people died. After a stay until they believe that, well, now it's taking too much, they say, okay, about 4,500 people died. But when you talk to the people on the ground, the account they give you, they know almost 40 to 50,000 people have already been killed. And there are many more that can't be accounted for. That's what you talk about genocide in slow motion. Because why? They go to one locality today, they eliminate 20. In some places, they even kill and there is nobody there with an Android phone to report this to the world. It goes unreported. And this happens on a daily basis. This is what they call genocide in slow motion. So Archbishop Kia, the genocide is already happening. And on top speed, before the eyes of everyone. It is. And I'm delighted, unfortunately, that it is a sad event like this one that would open your eyes and open the eyes of the rest of our people to that reality that La République du Cameroon does not plan to spare anybody. I followed an audio communication with a bewildered citizen in Bamenda saying now it is clear that if you are not fighting, you are likely to die. You either escape or you fight. This is the reality. What did I say about Ethiopia, about Eritrea? That it got to a point where when they saw the spate of killings, people understood that you either go to the front lines and fight or you simply escape out of the country because nobody will be spared. And this is the reality that we are facing now in Ambazonia. This is what I've been trying to talk to people about. This is why our foot soldiers who are going from village to village, sensitizing people how to stay safe, this is what they have been doing. La République du Cameroon, in effort to cover its tracks, let it not become so blatant, now turns around to want to claim that it is Ambazonian self-defense volunteers that turned their ire on unarmed La République du Cameroon citizens in retaliation of what they did. Because that is what they would have done. That's what La République du Cameroon would do. That's what they are doing on the ground. Because when the soldiers face the self-defense volunteers and they give them nose bleeding, and they give them nose bleeding, they get at them so hard, they hit them so hard. What do? They come and turn their ire on the unarmed civilian population, burning houses, burning people alive, looting, raping, and all of those things. That's what they will do. That's why it is easy for them to imagine that our self-defense volunteers decided to carry out vengeance on soft targets. By the same token, I followed an audio communication. I think it was from the self-defense volunteers or from the platform of the situation analyst, telling our people to be wary of finding themselves in areas which are heavily populated by citizens of La République du Cameroon. I have said it before that La République du Cameroon is desperate, so desperate, to annihilate us before their own fight begins, to weaken us to the point where we can't stand up all right, to take advantage of the chaos that is expected to come in their land. They are that desperate. So they will do horrible things. So that's why I agree with the situation analyst, where it says our people should be wary of finding themselves in areas of high concentration of citizens of La République du Cameroon, because they can become collateral damage. That's the truth. We are the ones facing annihilation. We have to be careful. That's why I agree with the situation analyst that avoid going to sit in off licenses and drink where you find predominantly citizens of La République du Cameroon. Please, my dear civilians, stay safe. We're in a very desperate situation, facing a desperate monster that is ready to devour everyone to attain their objective. You have to play safe. By the same token, I heard in that same audio the announcement of a curfew beginning at 9 p.m. every day all over Mezan. Please, play by the rules. Play safe. Don't find yourself out after 9 p.m. Follow those when you get those calls from people who are loitering with toys, please respect them. Stay safe. Don't find yourself at the wrong place, at the wrong time, in the wrong company, maybe sometimes doing the wrong things. Don't. We like it. I like it. That when we shall stand at Bongo Square and scream free, 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 at last we are free, we should count our numbers, and we should be too many in numbers to have overcome this daunting challenge, to have overcome this evil monster to walk into our free country. By all means, do everything to stay alive. By all means, do everything not to allow yourself to become a soft target. By all means, do everything not to allow yourself to be found in a place where you become collateral damage. 9 p.m., don't be out there. Don't be out there. Don't go to the beer parlors. During war times, people struggle to stay alive. Avoid those things. They've said 9 p.m. If I were there, I will make it 8 p.m. Even 7 p.m., I will not be out there. Because they will say that life is nothing, but nothing is worth a life. We must recognize that. So, my people, the situation got so bad. So bad. So bad, so much so that some jesters who call themselves our Fons had to come out from their reserve. Oh my goodness. We saw the SDO, the Colonial Senior Divisional Officer for Mencho, poke his fingers into the eyes, into the nostrils of royalty by saying that people should come and job applications in his office for him to appoint any one of them of his choice to become Fon in Esu. We saw this useless band of idiots calling themselves Fons. They said nothing. They stayed mute. They shot and killed one of them, the Fon of Isu, in a very brutal manner. The so-called Northwest House of Fons said nothing. Not even Nowefu, the Northwest Fons Conference, said anything. Nothing. They were quiet. It was normal. We saw these people execute our children. Anyhow, I've talked of Bebe Tato Brandy in Bamenda. I've talked of Bebe Carol Louise in Boya. I've talked of Mama Api burnt alive in her house. This phone said nothing. We saw the colonial SDO. We saw the colonial SDO of Bui County, write a threatening letter to the Fon of Mbiame, the traditional beggars calling themselves Northwest House of Chiefs or House of Fons, said nothing. They were quiet. Worst of all, the Queen Mother of Mejang, the mother of the sitting Fon of Mejang, was burnt alive right at the palace. These royal hand clappers and beggars said nothing. No, they were not outraged. Today, real human beings have been touched. Real human beings have been touched, and they come out. It is with deep sadness that I address you today following the tragic incident that occurred in Bamenda on Sunday, 16 July 2023. Our hearts go out to the families of the victims who lost their lives in this act of violence. This useless idiot called the Fon of Bambalang says nothing in this press release about the children who were slaughtered so brutally, so openly by the Cameroon military 2 days before. They say nothing about them. Of course, there are some Cameroon children. They are not humans. They are flies. They are pigs. They are cockroaches. They are roaches. Even to the eyes of their own so-called Fons, who are supposed to stand up in the words of Prince Afuakom, and die for their people. They said nothing. And he goes on. As Fons of the Northwest region, we reiterate our call on those carrying arms to heed to the head of state call, drop their arms and integrate the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration centers where they can receive support to reintegrate into society. In solidarity. You see, no, any act carried out by the forces of La Republic of Cameroon on armed civilians is okay. It's justified. It's normal. No. The so-called Northwest House of Chiefs or whatever wouldn't pay heed to that because we are not humans. And then he goes on, in solidarity with the families of the victims and as a sign of our commitment to peace, we invite all Fons of the Northwest region to join us in a solidarity march to denounce these acts. The march will take place on Thursday, 20 July 2023, from City Chemist to the Governor's office. Let us honor the memory of the victims by committing ourselves to building a safer, more peaceful society for all. Now look at this. This Fon of Bambala, Chomitang, who stayed in the hands of the self-defense volunteers for over a year, and there was no word from the Cameroon government, is today being the first to come out and say Fons should join this house of idiots to go out on the streets and march. My dear people of Amazonia, I recall a time when the people of the grass field were mad that Fonangwafo shook hands with Mr. Paul Biya, whom they had crowned Fon of Fons, or shook hands with the First Lady of La République du Cameroon. They said he had desecrated tradition. We know the do's and the don'ts for our Fons, don't we? For our royalty. Fons shall not eat in public. Fons shall not drink in public. Fons shall not sit on any kind of stool. Fons shall not shake hands with any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Fons shall not, Fons shall not, Fons shall not, because it's our sacred institution. But today, a band of rascals, miscreants, have destroyed the sanctity of that tradition. They don't deserve to be called Fons anymore. All those lunatics in the so-called House of Chiefs, if you have the fun of your village as a member of that nonsense, I hope that you're already taking measures to ensure that that family lineage never goes closer to royalty anymore. They don't deserve it. Yeah, it's like you take a golden ring and put it on the nose of a pig. All it will do is rub it in mud. The power that the people give to their traditional authorities over them, the people have carried the same power and handed over to the colonial administration of La République du Cameroon. That's why you now hear a heresy as Fons having to go out on the streets and march. And march from where? They say that they are going to march from City Kemi to the governor's office. That they are marching to the governor, an appointee, a colonial. The governor should march to the palaces of the Fons and sit down and wait for them. When the Fons come out, they clap, they genuflect and clap for our Fons. But look at it. They'll be moving on the streets carrying placards like babies. If you haven't died yet, don't ever claim that you have seen it all. I've said it all. Let me talk. My people, you know that these Fons don't even live in their palaces. They can't. Because I will challenge these Fons. If you truly are representing the people of the fondoms you claim you are representing, don't get surrounded by the bee when you are marching. Because the Fons are the Fons of the people, not the Fons of La République, not the Fons of Mr. Bia's government. The Fons are picked by the people. It's not an election. It's a tradition. They are picked by the people, and the people respect their Fons when they are Fons, not when they are lunatics. So if you truly respect yourself, you know that you're a Fon. After that marching tomorrow, go back to your palace. Because most of them they are on exile. They're seeking asylum in La République du Cameroon. That's why this Thursday you will find the bees will surround all over the place. To protect who? To protect them from who? From the same people they are supposed to be ruling over? What a shame. What a disgrace. Fortunately enough, there will be video cameras. We'll be watching. Any fun or what's going on that loiters around that place, back in their villages, you will go and meet La République du Cameroon. You don't deserve to be fun again. Because these ones are desecrating our tradition. They have committed all kinds of heresies. They have broken all the taboos that should never be broken. I recall the one of Agam, my neighbor and friend from Bambi, come and sit and say they should give them items to go and pour libation or to go and curse their children. Where did they end? Where did it end? Those useless curses can't work because you fight a war of blame. If you don't know esoteric communication, go find out again. Ridiculous, shameful. I hope that our civilian population, nobody should dare step their legs out there. Because this is how they do. They put you in harm's way. Use you as human shield to attain their objectives. But they'll sooner abandon you when you find yourselves in difficulties. Don't fall to that. We'll be watching. And it is because of actions like this that some voices are already rising seriously to say we may have to consider abolishing the institution of funding in southern Cameroons. It will be regrettable, but it might come to pass. Don't forget that up to 1789, France was a kingdom. Oh yeah, we all know of Louis XVI, who was the last of them. France was a kingdom. But because of attitudes like this, that never represented the wishes and aspirations of the people. They ended up abolishing the kingdom. Yeah. They abolished the monarchy. The British are still keeping the monarchy just for the sake of it, because the king or the queen really has just ceremonial powers. But we still gave our Fons a lot of power. We call them lions, tigers. But look at them. See what they have become. Instruments in the hands of riffraffs, handpicked by Paul Biya and la République du Cameroon. Why wouldn't this justify the growing feeling that fondom should simply be abolished? It is such a shame. It is such a shame, my people. And so you see this. La République du Cameroon has been dying to tell the world that normalcy has returned. Yeah. I had a hot exchange with some people said, no, everything is okay. Life is back to normal in Bamenda, in Boya, everywhere, and they have tried to live in self-denial, but finally, look at this. This is again the Guardian Post. It says 5 divisions in Northwest cut off from regional capital. There are 7, but 5. That's how they call it. They call them divisions, but there are 7 counties. 5 cut off from the regional capital, not because the British are not moving, or not because the roads are impassable. No. Because the self-defense volunteers have blocked them. Because they are in control in those areas. And that's why the Guardian Post says, despite all the hype and all the noise about a certain return to normalcy, things are not going, and truth be told. Things are not going, and truth be told. That is why the talks of La République du Cameroon are trying to unleash all the terror on our people, to try and see if they can frighten them, to kill the spirit of freedom that is flowing in our veins. No, a spirit is never killed. No, you don't kill a spirit. You see? Because initially, when I showed this this headline of the Horizon, saying, "Are separatists breaking back of Cameroon army?" Because internal military sources make clear that their casualties are growing in number by the day. In numbers by the day. They are facing hot vicissitudes in Amazonia. That is why they are taking themselves now seriously on the population. Why? Because they want to coerce the population to league with them by force. This is what it is. It's not going. It's not going. It's not going. 5 out of 7 cut off. And all those who are claiming making noise about normalcy, they dare not go to their various villages. They dare not. All those who are claiming that there's normalcy, they dare not even loiter downtown Bamenda. They will end up off station, where they still appear to be having protection from the bee. That's what it is. And finally, my people of Amazonia, I will come back to the footage I'm about to play right now. I'll come back to it in another broadcast. Because you see, La République du Cameroon has underdeveloped us so much so that they don't even know what to do again to make us understand they don't want us, that we need to go. But we have continued to hang on to them. Just look at this is the.
Let me say wait.
JDP is guilty. You have been totally drunk. Inside water, the nest has been dutiful. Look at the patience. That's still very dutiful.
I said, thank you, fire back. No one don't fast.
Look at where water is. And the stitching is here still giving drops. Very beautiful. Let me show you where this was. Look at something is wrong. I said, what has happened today?
Look at this is a hospital in the Opec city.
Look at patients everywhere in the hospital.
So Nara is just next door.
Now see, if you
Huh? So Nara is just next door, brewing billions of CFA. The CDC is there, pouring money left. What will I say is there and leave what? Huh? hospital. We are right there inside the wards, with patients about to be drowned on their sick beds. This is not the southern Cameroons our forebears dreamed of when they carried us into this albatross of a union with La République du Cameroon. No, this is not it. My dear people of Ambazonia, there are things like this that should make each and every one of us understand the need to stand and be counted. We can't, at this stage of our liberation movement, give up. We can't just fold our arms and do nothing. We can't. My dear people, that is why I'll continue to urge each and every one of us to support the initiative of our massive fundraisers through the dark platform, so that we should be able to attain our objective of kicking La République du Cameroon out of our land. Yes, so that evil faces like this ones will no longer have relevance in our land. So that forces of evil like this Fons Benjamin of Kejon Keku, who sat and favored and planned with Regina Mundi the decimation of his people, so they will no longer have relevance in our land. Let us believe in this liberation movement, and let us work to attain our objective. I'll say as always, that to God, and to God alone, be all the glory.